Heterarchy, social science, indigenous populations, and a scientist by the name of Warren S. McCulloch. Now, most people have heard of hierarchies, which is where an individual at the top of a hypothetical pyramid is often the ones making the decisions, where the more numerate individuals at the bottom of the pyramid are enacting that change. And this is what a lot of our professional structures have, and this is something that I've come to understand and research in a lot of detail as a social scientist. Now, one of the challenges, however, is hierarchies are often viewed as the only system, and this is where a population in the Andes and a lot of other indigenous populations present a contrary view, and that's a heterarchy. And this is where heterarchy and hierarchies are profoundly different. Rather than one individual sitting at the top having more power and more influence over the numerous other individuals, heterarchies have more of an exchange based. And this is where A might have authority over B in some cases, B might have authority over C, C might have authority over A in very specific circumstances. And this is how a lot of societies, particularly indigenous communities, have often presented this idea. And Warren S. McCulloch is the individual in the 1945s who coined the term heterarchy, but a lot of this, whilst applied in a scientific context, a lot of work references Warren McCulloch. Most of the research and most of the information has come from a cultural foundation, which comes from a population in the Andes, where what they effectively found is when they looked for common indicators of wealth, which is what we would generally view in Western history, we weren't seeing this when we were looking at this indigenous population. And archaeologically, what they were finding is indications that it was more of a cooperative, where individuals, rather than having a clear sign of wealth, were seeing more of an even distribution of that wealth in that system. And this is where a heterarchic system, particularly when you think of different roles that people might hold in a team or in a society, where an individual might have particular say or particular decision making power, it's not at the prerequisite of someone else making that decision, such as a manager. Rather, the individual who is potentially the most knowledgeable or the most relevant for that particular decision is the one who makes that argument and makes that case, and then the team collectively makes the decision. And a heterarchic system would generally be applied or could be applied in businesses, in social structures, in communities and cultures. But it's quite interesting to see a contrast to a typical hierarchy, where rather than having an individual who's leading that front and who's being that figurehead or decision maker, you have multiple individuals who, at the right time, and based on their knowledge of their particular roles and the skills that they bring, are the individuals who are making that informed decision. So if you want to find out more about heterarchies versus hierarchies, or you want to just find out more about the social science and educational context in general, then please like and follow for more. Thank you very much for listening.